Hi, this is Bobby Brown, and welcome to another fucking podcast.
Truly a sight to behold. The man beat the once great champ, now a study in moppishness. No longer the victory-hungry stallion we've raced so many times before, but a pathetic, washed-up, aged ex-champion.
All right, let's go.
I think you know the guy. And I think you know him pretty damn well. His name is
Izzy Presley.
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 What's my name? Say my name, bitch!
My good friend, Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley. Ouch!
Izzy Presley. Whoa, that sounds a little weird.
Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley, the heaviest, girthiest rock DJ around.
Hey, this is Jeff LeBar. You listen to Izzy Presley. Those aren't pillows.
Nah. No, they're not. Hello, Las Vegas. Hello, world. Hello, my loyal minions. It's good to see you. It's always good to be seen. I'm Izzy Presley. I'm the host of the program. Without the fabulous Mike Dawson this week, Doss had some scheduling conflicts. He was not able to record this week, and that's fine. You know, it's great. People have lives too, and I could not do a show. So here I am flying solo, which I've been doing for 13 years. So it's not like I haven't done this before. It's not like I'm gonna be Garth staring at the camera, where you think his head is gonna explode. But thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you hanging. I appreciate the support. Speaking of the support, hit up the Patreon, patreon.com/RealIzzyPresley. $5 a month. If you are on the Patreon, you're hearing this tonight. You're seeing it tomorrow. This is, what is the date? It is Wednesday, January 21st. It is 7:03 p.m. You're hearing it tonight by 8:03 p.m. January 21st. If not, you're getting it on Friday, the 23rd, with ads. All the Patreon's ad-free. It is what it is. Patreon folks, I apologize. I thought I hit publish on the show last night, so you're getting 2 shows tonight. Went to the AVNs today, and that was glorious. Just went to get my badge and walk around, and met Christy Canyon. God bless her. God bless Christy Canyon. We talk about that in the interview later on. Going to be going back tomorrow to get the content, the next fresh round of dating tips from porn stars. And I just have to get the questions lined up, and they will be lined up, and they will be entertaining, and there will be jiggling titties on this show, but of course covered up because, you know, I can't show titties as much as I'd love to. I'd love to have grocery store gal naked behind me. That would be glorious. That'd be good. We'd like that. That would be good. But we can't do that. We can do that on the radio version, on the podcast version. But I can't do that here. Trust me, because I want to see those. That would be glorious. Some bitch thinks that would be glorious too. He's mad at me. Didn't bring him to the porn. Didn't bring him to the AVN. Not the awards. It's like NAMM, except the fun diseases. And much more titties that you want to see. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Speaking of that, why don't we do this? Why don't we jump into one of the dating tips with porn stars that we did not play yet, and then we'll be right back with my good friend Steve Brown. You know him from Trixter. Plays with Def Leppard from time to time as the fill-in guy for Vivian, and sometimes Phil. And now he is coming on to talk about, and I'm talking like that on purpose, by the way. Now he's coming on to talk about his brand new Bon Jovi tribute called Always Jovi, who is phenomenal. And we dive into the tribute world. We get some good old Trixter stories. We get some old Bon Jovi stories. Get some Ace Frehley stories. A fun ride down Steve's rock and roll past. And you will enjoy it. It is another fucking podcast. I'm Izzy Presley. Dawson will be back next week. And here's dating tips with porn stars. Hey, at least we got Dawson's voice.
And now it's time for dating tips from porn stars.
Here we go. Dating tips from porn stars. Who do we have here?
Sierra Spunk.
All right, Sierra. Question number 1. We all know confidence is king, so we're taking that off the table.
Okay.
Looks, money, or a sense of humor? What's more important?
Sense of humor.
I like that. I like that. For you, how important is it for a guy to make the first move?
It's so important for me. I'm a little shy. I have to be chased.
I like that
Most
too.
women like to be chased.
There you go. Can you smell desperation?
Absolutely. Don't do it. Don't text bomb me. Don't email bomb me. I will respond on my own time, and I probably will respond if you give me actual conversation.
All right. Do you prefer text or a phone call?
Text.
All right. And if you're going to start seeing somebody, how long before you tell them what you do?
Right away. I don't need to hide it. I want to be my true self and enjoy every moment of what I do, and sharing that with someone I like is a must.
All right. And if people want to find you on the socials and the interwebs, where can they find you?
SierraSpunk.com.
That was dating tips from porn stars. Now back to another effing podcast with Izzy Presley.
Boom. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Joining me now, a man that I've known for a while. I've seen him just recently in November when we crossed paths at the Kiss Tard Fest. I mean, the Kiss Cruise Landlocked. And you know him from Trixter. You know him from that big Christmas extravaganza. And now he has entered the tribute world. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Brown. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Izzy, man. Great to be here. Hello, everybody out there in the worldwide Izzy rock and roll intraweb world. It's great to be here. Freezing in New Jersey.
Ooh.
I woke up today. It was 0 degrees out, and I had some problems with some heating in my house. So my house got down to 50 degrees, and we're just thawing out. But like I tell everybody, you know, like when I'm in Vegas, you know that line that you guys use all the time when it's 110 degrees and you say, but it's a dry heat. I tell everybody, oh, it's 0 degrees, but it's a dry cold.
Well, actually, you know what? You know what I say, Steve? It's 110 degrees. It's not 70 below zero. I like this.
Yep. And you know what, dude? I'll take that any day as well. I'd rather be hot than cold.
So are you stuck? Are you like forever Jersey then? Do you ever think about getting out of Jersey for reasons like that?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I mean, you know, Jersey's, you know, it's family, friends, it's where I live, you know.
Yeah.
We're in the world famous 6160 Mojo Vegas studio. So, you know, yeah, it's, you know, I've thought about it. You know, I think at some point, you know, probably within the next 10 years, I'd love to get a place in Florida.
Yeah.
You know, and be down there. I mean, you know me, dude. I'm a beach guy, the palm trees, and, you know, I love all that stuff. So, but we'll see, man. You know, I love winter too. I don't mind the cold. I was out skiing the other day with my daughter, having a blast. So, but I'm definitely ready in about another week, and especially we're supposed to get a big storm here in Jersey this weekend, and I know after that, let's talk next week, and I'll be like, dude, I want to move to Florida. I want to move to Vegas.
Get the fuck out of here. Fuck
Exactly.
this. I'm done. Yeah, I know. I have to. I have an act show in Minnesota, February 21st. So I'm not looking forward to the. Well, maybe the exploding trees will be done by then. They have an exploding tree warning in Minnesota going on right now because it's so goddamn cold. I just don't need that shit. Speaking of New Jersey there, Steve Areno, you are now currently in a band called Always Jovi.
Yes.
The New Jersey tie-in. See what I did right there? A Bon Jovi tribute. How long has this been in the works? Whose idea was this? And what made you say, you know what, it's time to do something like this?
Well, yeah, it's been in the works for over a year and well over a year now. And it started years ago. It was always in the back of my mind, and just so you know, man, I think, I've been playing in cover bands and tribute bands in between playing with Def Leppard, playing with Trixter, to make money, to be a full-time musician, Trixter, as great as it is, it's my baby. I created it. The money that we make from that is not enough to supplement what we need to do to keep the lights on and feed our families, PJ and I. So we've always done supplemental things. PJ and I both played in this 80s band Rubik's Cube I was in the band for the better part of 12 years, and PJ's been in the band for a while now. And long story short, last year, it just popped in my mind, being out on the road with Wizards of Winter, my good buddy Greg Smith, Tokyo Motor Fist Greg Smith. He plays in arguably the biggest Journey tribute band in America, Voyage, with our buddy Robbie Hoffman, and Pedro now is the new singer. And when that was all happening last year, it just got in my head, and I said to myself, I need to do this, and it started back when I started playing with Def Leppard, because Phil and Joe would always compliment me and say, like, oh, you sound like John, if John, kind of a cross between Jon Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora, the way you sing, and it was always in the back of my mind, and let's be frank here, man, over the last 5 years, I think tribute bands in America have skyrocketed to where bands, our friends Get the Let Out, they play Red Rocks and sell it out. They play arenas. Our friends in the band Hairball, and my good buddy Nick Thierry he's the mastermind behind that arena rock show, and he's actually my partner and helped me launching Always Jovi, and him and I are, business partners in this. So, but it's more than anything, it's the love of the music and being able to do it perfectly, because I've been blessed with this crazy voice that is able to, pretty much nail John in his heyday, the Jon Bon Jovi vocal style.
Which, and I think a lot of people in some genres shit on Jovi, and they don't realize how good of a singer John was in his prime. Obviously, we know he's not what he used to be. I mean, look, he's aged. He had the throat problems. It happens. Look at Paul Stanley. I mean, we forget he's 74 years old. But being able to do it at your age, and not that I'm calling you old. I mean, I'm 53. You're like 56, 57?
I'm 55. I'm heading
55.
I'm rounding third base to 56. So, man, what I would do to be 53 again, dude. So you're a kid. Shut up, you punk.
But to be able to do that is something special. And there's this one thing that I wanted to bring up to you and ask you. Are you doing the costume with the wig and... Okay,
no,
hold on.
You've seen the promos.
Yeah, but there's a thing that I wanted to throw by you, and just hear me out. No, because I do the Ace Frehley tribute. I do not look like Ace Frehley. I don't sound like Ace Frehley. I wear the jacket, but I've seen Kiss tributes that I know that I'm friends with, that you see them in costume, you see them in the full makeup. People listen with their eyes. So they sound more like them when they're in the get-up than they do when they're not in the get-up, because you're not getting the visual part of it. Now, you could sound just like Bon Jovi, but you're going to sound more like him if you have the get-up. You know what I'm getting at?
I totally do. I totally understand that. And I've had a couple agents that have said, man, if you're doing a tribute, you got to do this. But what I said before, the biggest tribute band in America is Get the Let Out. They don't look like Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
They don't do that. Queen, Mark Martel, he does Queen's One Vision, arguably probably one of the top 3 biggest Queen tributes. It's about the voice. So the look is one thing. Kiss is a different thing, okay? Because if you're doing Kiss from the 70s, you got to do that. you know, but we also know that there's a lot of Kiss tributes and there's a lot of Bon Jovi tributes to where, you know, and not to slag on anybody because that's not
No,
what this is
absolutely
about.
not.
I love what everybody's doing. My take, and this is the tagline, it's a tribute like no other. And that is the reasoning that I'm doing it in the way that I'm doing it, to where it's me as the singer, which is a different thing. People still text me and message me, dude, I can't get past you without not a guitar, you know, not having a guitar.
Yeah.
Andrew Freeman said that to me. And I'm like, well, that's cool because this is showing a different side. And you know, but you know, the thing of it is that what we're doing is, you know, it's all the songs in the original keys. I'm singing everything. It's pitch perfect, note perfect. And we're doing the greatest songs from the greatest era plus some deep cuts, but we're doing it our way. And you know, you've seen, you know, I got my girl Devin Marie is the, you know, background singer, and you know, none of the other Jovi tributes have a girl singer that's in the band full time. She's in the band. We're able to do Who Says You Can't Come Home. She's actually going to be singing some of the other deep cut songs that's really special, to where I'm going to be playing guitar on. So don't worry, everybody. I am going to play guitar and I'm going to rip. You know, don't worry about it. But again, this is my thing. And look, there are so many great Bon Jovi tributes out there. My good friends are the Jersey band Slippery When Wet. Mike Parks looks like John 1987 to the T. But, you know, again, man, there's a difference in what I'm trying to do. And my goal with this is to honor the music perfectly and do it better than anybody else. And I think we're doing that because, you know, I haven't heard a singer on the Bon Jovi tribute circuit who can sing the stuff as good as I can. And that's just the way it is. And you know, so what we're doing as far as not having the wigs, we're still going to look like rock stars. You see our promos. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But it is, you know, and again, you can't please everybody. Man,
True.
you know, we know that in this business. And I've already gotten people, how could you do this? You can't do that. Look, I've always done things my way, and that's the way we're doing this. And, you know, John and the band, you know, John and Richie have been, you know, 40-year friends of mine. I jammed with Dave Bryan a couple weeks ago down in Nashville. Right before I launched Always Jovi, we jammed on stage with my friends in the band Hippies and Cowboys, and I sang 3 Bon Jovi songs with them. And afterwards, I grabbed him, I put my arm around him, and I go, dude, just so you know, like in a day or two, I'm launching my Bon Jovi tribute. And he's like, oh man, you sound great. Good luck. You know, and it's all about love. You know, look, John's been a friend, and I've actually offered my help to help John with his voice to try to help him get back. I've reached out to him and numerous people in his camp. So, you know, this is not in any way, this is all about love and loving the music.
Oh, for sure.
Bon Jovi's been one of my biggest influences and inspiration. So, you know, what better way and what better way to honor the music and do it right than have me do it. You know?
Was there any help from John when you guys were getting started? Did you know, when did you meet John? Did he have a hand in helping you guys get signed?
He certainly did, man, you know, and Pete has broadcast this like on his YouTube channel. So the story goes, man, we you know, let me go back now that we're talking about this. So 1985 Rat Bon Jovi tour, Meadowlands Arena. My first time seeing Bon Jovi was me and Pete were there, and we were watching the show. And it was a life-changing show for me because that was the night, first off, seeing Jon Bon Jovi live at that point, 1985, the best-looking dude in rock and roll, hands down, the best fucking hair, the Jersey frosted tips. Nobody had that hair. And he was on fire. The band was unbelievable. They were like a cross between, they're everything that I wanted to be, that I wanted Trixter to be. It was a cross between Van Halen, Bryan Adams, Def Leppard. They had shit from everybody. Journey, you know, and seeing them, it was like, this is the coolest band. But the X factor that night was seeing Richie Sambora. And that was the night that I knew that I had to step up my vocal ability to become what I say, like a lead singer guitar player, like the way Richie is, the way Steve Lukather was in Toto, to where you're just not a background singer, you're actually a lead vocalist. And that night was a game changer for me, you know, to see Richie, what a great guitar player he was, performer, he looked awesome, and he sang like, I mean, like, you know, we all know he was a much better singer than Jon ever was.
Right,
You know,
right.
he was the guy that carried those high
Yep.
harmonies, and it was just, you know, life-changing. But fast forward to a year later when we recorded our initial Trixter demo tape, the 5-song, what people call the Just Having Fun sessions. And when we finished that, you know, we started playing the Jersey clubs, the all ages thing, and immediately we started getting some momentum. And Bon Jovi, of course, was a huge influence in that because they were really starting to come up. And they had just finished Slippery When Wet, and it was about to come out. You Give Love a Bad Name came out, went right to #1. It was the beginning of Slippery Mania, you know, if you remember that time.
I remember it distinctly.
Yeah, we had heard that Jon was doing a thing at the Hard Rock, like a radio thing. And so Pete and our drummer, they, you know, cut school. I think they were out of school or graduated at that point. And they had heard that Jon's going to be at the Hard Rock in New York City. So they went in and brought a demo tape and somehow tracked them down. They gave him the package. And dude, I kid you not, a week later on our Trixter hotline, which was Pete's house line with an answer machine, we get this message from Jon Bon Jovi. Hey, Peter, it's Jon Bon Jovi. I just want to know, I listened to your tape. I think you guys got a lot of potential. And it was one of the greatest moments of our career, of our lives at that point.
Oh, I bet.
To get, you know, the seal of approval from a legitimate rock star. And that's what happened. And then a couple months later, another fabulous moment was when Slippery When Wet had blown up in the world. They started their tour with Cinderella. They played New Year's Eve at the Meadowlands Arena. And lo and behold, we were there and we were backstage and Jon saw us. He came right over to us, man. He was like, "You Trixter motherfuckers, what's happening? I'm so glad." And dude, we snuck backstage. We never had backstage passes. We would just always sneak in to whatever show and we would be there, and all the, you know, union guys knew, oh, the Trixter guys, yeah, they're cool. They don't need passes.
That's cool.
And Jon came out, man, and he was, I think he had a couple drinks in him. Of course, it was New Year's Eve.
Of course.
You know, and he came right up to us and he goes, "Dude," he goes, "guys, come here. I want to introduce you to somebody, this other band that I'm working with, Skid Row guys." And that was the night that he introduced us to Snake, Rachel, Scotty, and Rob. You know, they were all backstage. And Jon said to Snake, he goes, "Man, Snake, make sure you take care of these guys," you know, because we had some gigs booked opening up for the original Skid Row before Sebastian was in the band. So yeah, I mean, it's just an incredible story, and you know, Jon was there, you know, and another fabulous, you know, Jon was always a part of our successes. So the day we found out our Trixter record went gold when we were on tour with the Scorpions, and of course Doc McGee was their manager in 1991, and Jon was on hiatus for Bon Jovi, so we were playing 2 nights at the Irvine Meadows Amphitheater, sold out with the Scorpions. I mean, it was as big as it was getting. The Scorpions were on top. We were number 1 on MTV with 1 in a Million. It was the best. And Jon came to the show with the Scorpions, and I pulled him aside and I said, "Dude, I want to tell you this. You're one of the first people to know that we just found out today that our record went gold." And he was so happy, him and Dorothea. Dorothea's like, "Yeah, I think I still have that tape somewhere." And he said to me, he goes, "Man, I always knew you guys were going to make it." And it was one of the greatest, another one of the greatest nights of our lives. And Jon was there watching us from the wings and like making faces at us playing. And, you know, again, it was just one of those cool things. And, you know, and that's gone on for years and years of him always being there. And Richie as well, you know, because Richie and I developed a really good friendship. You know, I was with Richie when he was making his solo record, and, you know, just incredible. So, you know, again, it is what it is, but, you know, we're booking shows, and it's going to be, you know, it's going to be special. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. I've been singing every day, 2.5 hours singing the set, keeping my voice, you know, up there, man. You know, again, what you said, Jon, back in the day, especially like 89 through like 97 when he did, you know, the New Jersey record, Keep the Faith. You know, the Keep the Faith, I think the Keep the Faith tour was one when he was singing at his best. You know, he was just phenomenal. And, Again, he never. I don't think he ever got enough credit for how great of a singer he really was. But I'm here to tell you, learning these songs and singing "Always" and singing "Bed of Roses," it's definitely, it's not kid stuff. That's for sure.
Dude, it's great to hear that you're doing it, but it's still, I mean, it's got to be a little weird for you too at the same time. Like you talked about, it's like obviously you can't make a living doing Trixter all the time, but it's just wild how the tribute world has just exploded, know?
It has. And, a lot of my friends are, again, Voyage is a huge example of that. Talk to Greg Smith, man. They're doing, they're playing, big casinos, fairs. They're selling out, 2,000-3,000 seaters and making successful national act money as a tribute band. I mean, look at Get the Let Out, look at Hairball, look at that Arena Rock show. These guys, I know the numbers that they're doing, man, and it's bigger than most national acts.
Yeah, it's insane. And actually, a Hairball type show just popped up here in Vegas.
Yeah.
I can't, like Todd Kearns and those guys are all in it, of course. The Vegas icons.
It's called like Icons of Rock.
Icons of Rock. There it is. See, I knew I was close.
Yeah. So one thing I did get is, I might not be wearing a wig, but I got the mic stand.
Oh, see, now it's the props. It's all about the props.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just doing it. We're letting the music do the talking. We got a great show. I got an LED. I bought an LED wall, so we have awesome content.
Oh, nice.
And it's next level, man. It's I'm really, really looking forward to it. And the fans have been, the social media stuff has been out of control. People are going nuts. All the Bon Jovi sites are, liking it and sharing it and stuff. So, again, it's all done with love. And, like I've told somebody before, man, like playing with Def Leppard, it's always great to do something. Like playing with Def Leppard, their music was in my blood. Like I didn't have to learn that much because I knew all the songs already. It's always great when you do play in a band that's your favorite music. So Bon Jovi, it's just natural for me. Like,
that's great.
It really is.
And how I just take left turn sometimes. Steve, how long have you been sober now?
It's I'm rounding third base. That's my new catchphrase. I love that. I'm sliding into home. Next month, March. March is going to be 7 years, my man.
Wow.
7 years.
What was it that made you turn the page and say, you know what, I'm done with this?
I think it was just. Look, man, you want to live life or you want to die, I mean, there were some moments where I was in some pretty bad situations. I don't think a lot of people knew how bad it was, but because I was always, I was always the Van Halen mentality, man. The life of the party, let's party, let's keep going, let's and it just got out of control for me. And it was one of those things that I knew I had a problem for a really long time. But the alcohol and drugs or whatever anybody does, it's all a lie, and it lies to you, and it makes you become a liar to facilitate it. And finally, I just, I really had no choice, and I just woke up one day and said, I got to do this. And it's been the greatest thing that I've done, really, and one of the biggest accomplishments of my life. And Alex Van Halen, who's a good friend of mine, he says that, he goes, of all the things you do, your sobriety is one of the greatest accomplishments and one of the biggest, things that you've done in your life. And, him being sober for such a long time. And again, rock and rollers, Phil Collin from Def Leppard, he was one of the first people that I called and, kind of begged for help. And, numerous people helped me along the way, but ultimately, it's like it comes down to you. You have to make that, commitment to do it. And I didn't go to, AA or anything. I just went to some local counseling to get my mental state together. Because it's a big thing when you get sober, and especially being a musician. I had this conversation with Neil Schon once, and it was like, he told me it took a long time for him to get his chops back because we're all so used to, and Ed Van Halen was a prime example of that. He always told me he used to have to have like a 6-pack of beer just to get creative. And it was that thing, man, like we all did back in the day. A couple drinks, couple shots before you go on stage to loosen up. and that's what it was. And then the next thing you know, it's like, all that is after the show. And then it becomes, wow, I'm really hungover now. And what's going to make me feel better? I got to start drinking again.
Yep.
And that's when you're fucked. When you literally wake up and the only thing that's going to make you feel better is, another beer and a shot to start the day. And that's how I knew I was fucked. And sadly, it took me another 5 years after that where I was really, really kind of in a bad state. But, either way, and I've given credit, I've said it numerous times, but Joel Hoekstra was one of the guys who said the most profound thing to me about it. And it was really simple. When he got sober, when I was doing Rock of Ages with him, I was his fill-in in 2014, and that's kind of when he got sober.
Yeah.
Wow, over 10 years ago. And he said the simplest thing to me. He said, dude, it's made my life 100% better. And for some reason, that was the most powerful line. And it always stuck with me. And sure enough, 3 months after I got sober, my life was 1,000% better. And it was like, I texted him, I said, dude, you were so fucking right. And it was the truth. And it's been 7 years now, and everything, I feel great. I'm performing better than ever. I'm singing better than ever, and just loving life more than ever.
And then you realize, oh, maybe I wasn't the life of party. I was just annoying. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I definitely, man. I definitely was, man, and I've apologized to a lot of people, but it was never meant to be that way. I was
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
But man, we've again, it is what it is, and it's people who come out on the other side. That's what's most important,
Yeah, exactly.
And believe me, I've apologized to a lot of people, just saying, hey, sorry about that night.
How's the guitar world going? You got your guitars out. I still haven't touched one yet. That white
one in Vegas, I think. Didn't you touch the one I was playing?
No. I don't think so.
You didn't put your testicles on it?
I did not put my testicles on it. I didn't use my dick as a slide or nothing.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, the new line, the 2026 models just came out last week and flying off the shelves. It's incredible, man. I got to tell you, I never in a million years would have thought that at my success level that I would have a guitar line that's selling and people love, and I'm just so honored to have it. And it's the best guitar under $1,000 in the the shred model range. And it was one of those things. My partner Jay from Guitar Fetish, who was the guy who masterminded this whole thing, came to me with this idea, and he said, I want to do a signature line with you. I want like a Van Halen style guitar, Floyd's, 80s inspired. And I was like, what? Me? It was one of those things where it just kind of came out of left field. And he's like, no, man, I want you because you're the everyday, working musician where you're playing stadiums with Def Leppard, and then 5 days later, you're down in Seaside Heights playing the Beachcomber in front of 20 people. And then you're out with Trixter playing here, all of that played into it. And, and we just designed this guitar. It started before COVID, and then during COVID, we were able to perfect it and get it to where we made these incredible guitars that basically retail for $359, and they have
what more do you need?
Every rock shred guitar player could ever want. Now we have new models that are, you see the Telly back there.
Yeah, I love that.
We have non-Floyds, and we have, all these different models. So it's just, it's again, brother, it's a dream come true, and they are great guitars. I'm using them out on the road, and I use them 100% stock. The only thing I do on them is block the Floyd Rose because I don't like a floating Floyd.
Right.
But dude, it's just such a dream come true, and the response. Dude, I got my own Facebook group, SBS Guitar Facebook group. People, modifying, and like the other day, somebody was like, "Yeah, I went on your Facebook group because I needed to get a new nut, and I wanted to know." And I'm like, "Wow, dude, I have my own SBS Guitar Facebook group. I didn't even know."
That's wild.
It's like, yeah. So the response has been great, and everybody that has one loves them, and. Again, just another one of these things where this rock and roll fantasy life of mine, it's just keeps going, and I'm just so appreciative. So thanks for bringing it up.
Of course, but you're not at NAMM with them.
No, we're not a NAMM. SBS is not, it's a mail order guitar company, so we're
Okay.
not in retail, and NAMM is more retail. Jay, my
Gotcha.
partner, Jay from Guitar Fetish, he's out there doing deals with some of the overseas companies
Gotcha.
and stuff like that. But yeah, it's maybe one of these years.
Well,
But
you got to get
right
out to
now,
the Las Vegas Guitar Trade Show at a
I
fraction of the
know, dude.
price.
I
You
know.
know, I know you got to get out here, but and see, I'm not at NAMM either. I'm at the fun NAMM where the good diseases are, the AVNs.
You told me that, dude. That's great.
I met Christy Canyon today.
What?
Christy
There you go.
Canyon, and all I had to do was name drop Adam Carolla, and she loved me. It's
Oh,
fucking
there you
great.
go. The Adam Carolla card. Here you go, Adam
Because
Carolla.
she went to elementary school with Adam.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So she was on the show, and he had told the story about her years ago, and then she came on the show, and she was like, "Oh my God, I love Adam," and she talked to me. I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome." Did you
That's
ever,
great.
in your heyday, back in the party days, when you guys were on top of the world before Nirvana and everything made it come crumbling down? Did you ever indulge in the porn star life? Because a lot of the guys in your era, it was like rock and rollers and strippers and porn stars. It was like boom. It was like peanut butter and jelly.
No, but I do have a cool story. I mean, it's cool and sad at the same time. But when we were on the Warrant Trixter Firehouse tour, the Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour, at the end of the tour, Pauly Shore came out on the road with us.
Yeah.
And at that time, the Weasel, hey
The
buddy,
Weasel buddy, hey
the
buddy.
Weasel buddy, he was dating Savannah at the time.
That's
So
right.
she came out on the road with us, and she was so nice, and a couple of her friends were out. But no, man, no, that was not my thing. But I was around him and got to meet some of them, and Christy Canyon, she's like an '80s superstar,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Isn't she an '80s,
Yep.
porn? Yeah, she's great, man. I remember, big fan of the movies.
Of
And then,
course.
or shall I say the videotapes?
The video. Yep. Videotapes. Yep.
Straight to video.
Straight to video.
But yeah, that was cool. Yeah, and I remember, because Paulie was dating her and she was out on the road with us. Because Paulie would come out, and do he was like the MC for a couple shows, and we had a blast together. And no, that's so. What is that like? Is that like that's the porn NAMM show? Right?
It's the porn NAMM show. I mean, you get free lube. There's every booth has a girl in it, or multiple girls in it. Then there's a section where it's dudes. So of course you walk around that one, and then dude, the sex dolls now. It's like I got friend zoned by a real doll today, and now they have robots. These fucking it's a sex, but they're like real. They're fucking humanoids.
Yeah.
And the thing's looking around. She's looking up at me with her eyes. I'm like, okay, this is creepy, except one of the hands wasn't on it. And I forgot to take a picture of it. So it looked like the Terminator with just, or Luke when he had his fucking new hand put on after Vader cut it off. Weird as shit. But yeah, that's basically what it is. Everybody doing meet and greets and just, hey, come up to the booth, say hi. Okay,
Yeah.
Christy Canyon. Nina Hartley was sitting right next to her.
Oh, cool. She was the one that was in Boogie Nights, right?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Nina Hartley. It was that was next to her. It was I don't know. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it's fucking great.
Awesome. I was speaking of that, last week I was at the NAMM show for tribute bands in New York City called the APAP convention.
Really? I did not know about this.
Yeah, it's a big, every year right after New Year's, like the first week after New Year's in New York City, it's called the APAP, AAPAP. And it's all tribute bands, so it's all the agencies, and they have booths set up like NAMM. And I mean, it's like any business. Most businesses that sell something have some sort of trade show. So
yeah,
it
that makes sense.
But it was cool, man. Got to see a lot of great bands. I have a new country tribute as well called Country Live that we showcased there. And that was fun. But I got to see, I posted a video. There was this guy, the MJ Illusion. This guy, dude, he was unbelievable. Crazy Michael Jackson. And it was a great Ozzy tribute that became friends with this band, Crazy Train. They're fucking great. Dude, it's father and son. The The father is Ozzy, and the son does the Zach Wild. It's
Oh,
so
wow.
good. But it was
That's
cool, man.
wild.
So yeah, getting into it. There anything we do, there anything, whatever, anything that is for sale, there is some sort of trade show for.
Have you talked about or you brought up the Warrant Trixter fire, or as Stone Cold Steve Austin says, Firehouse. You talked about that tour and how much fun you guys had. Have you guys ever talked about doing it again? Getting
Well,
those three
we
bands
did.
together and going out again?
Yeah, we did in 2011 and 2012. We did a bunch of, we called like, what was it, 30-year reunion or 20-year reunions.
Oh, okay.
I'm terrible at math, but we did shows where it was Warrant, Trixter, Firehouse. And yeah, we did and had fun, but nothing will ever recreate that. That was just something so unexpected, and that tour was not looked upon when it was booked as being, something that was going to be so successful, but
Right.
it wound up becoming one of the top 10 tours of 1991. And
Yeah.
it was a fucking rolling barbecue, Christmas, New Year's, your birthday party. Fucking, I mean, the Warrant guys taught us how to party. That's for sure. Because they were next level, man.
Right.
And we all had fun, and still to this day, all the bands and all the living members were still great friends. We still text each other funny shit, and every time we're together, when we're with the Warrant guys, with the Firehouse guys, we're all together, it is just, we cry with laughter talking about some of the stories. So definitely one of the greatest summers of our lives, for sure.
That was, and we'll move on and get wrapped up here because we're moving on an hour, and I know it's late where you are, and you're an old man. So that tour, that was after after Nirvana hit, correct? So it was just
it
was right before.
It was before, and I have a funny story about that because when we were on the tour, our old radio guy at MCA Records, this guy Bill Bennett, who's no longer with us, who was one of the guys at MCA Records responsible for our success, he became the president of Geffen Records a couple months after, probably, I'm going to say June of 91. So a couple months later, we're finishing the tour in LA. We're playing, Universal Amphitheater. We're playing all these great places. And so we were hubbed right out of Sunset Strip. We were staying at the Riot House, Hyatt on Sunset. We had a show every other day. So it was just, we went over to the Comedy Store, hung out with Dice Clay, and it was just unbelievable. But he invited us to come up to Geffen Records. And we went up to Geffen, me and Pete and PJ and PJ's brother Pat and our manager Joel at the time. And we walk in and, we wanted to go to get free CDs, we're
of
going
course.
to Geffen. Give me the new Whitesnake. Give me the new Tesla, blah, 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 Guns N' Roses, everything, we just fill up fucking bags of stuff, And another funny thing is I never knew that anytime bands would come and they would get free stuff, the bands got charged for that. It was like
shit.
Free goods. Yeah, it was like fucking funny. I found that out afterwards for all the in-stores that Trixter did. And we're going to give you guys free CDs. No. We fucking paid for that shit out of our royalties. It's all typical scumbag company bullshit. But
of course.
So we get there and Bill's, congratulations guys, great, you had an awesome tour. He goes, hey, I want to play this new band that we signed, and they're starting to really break up in the Pacific Northwest. And he fucking put on Smells Like Teen Spirit, and I'm like sitting there listening to it, and I remember saying to him, oh man, it's kind of the guitar sounds like Black Sabbath when it kicked in, and it kind of sounds like Cheap Trick. I was like, it's like Black Sabbath, Cheap Trick. He goes, yeah, they're doing really good. I don't know what's going to happen. We just got their video added to MTV. And so he gave us all the original Nirvana promo, the fucking t-shirt with the, the smile, the fucked up smile on it.
Yeah.
He gave us the advanced cassette. And here Trixter is, the epitome of 80s, 90s hair band, if you will.
Yep.
And he gave us these bags. and we're walking out. You know, we had our typical Guns N' Roses CDs, whatever was on Geffen, but here we were. PJ said it best. We were carrying the time bomb that was going to blow up the whole genre. And I wish, you know, PJ's brother, who's no longer with us, but Pat, he was always the guy who always had the video camera. He's the guy who got all that great footage. What I would have done to have that footage of us. But, dude, it was crazy because here we were in L.A., the Sunset Strip, and here are the guys in Trixter walking with, as PJ said, the time bomb that was going to blow up the whole genre.
Insane.
And we had it in our hands.
That's insane.
Crazy.
So the Nelson twins, you being a business guy too, I don't know if you've heard this, but Matt and Gunnar always talk about this, how the end of your genre was just like the end of disco. And the main reason that disco ended was because the record companies realized that we are sick of paying these guys all this money. And because remember when Punk came in because they could offer them a sandwich and a fucking bundle of heroin instead of having to pay them millions of dollars. And it was kind of a reboot of the system. And they say that had a lot to do with what happened to your genre too. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you know, look, like everybody's talked about, any great thing, any phenomenon, and the bubble's always going to burst.
Right.
You know, and it's just, it got to be, there needed to be a change.
Oh, I agree.
You know, I think, you know, what happened with us, you know, and Trixter is unique in the sense that, you know, we were the last band ever played on Dial MTV. We were the last song.
Wow.
Which Dial MTV from when did Dial MTV start? 85 with, I think Home Sweet Home was the first #1 video on Dial MTV. And we were the last video ever played. And PJ is convinced, he says it all the time. He goes, it was that shitty fucking video that we made for Surrender that the bigwigs at MTV said, no more of this. And that was it, man. You know, Surrender was supposed to be the song that took our record to platinum, double platinum. There's the big power ballad. And we made this video, $350,000. And sure enough, it came out. It went right to #1. Surrender was going up the Billboard charts. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks into it, MTV cancels Dial MTV. Our song drops off the charts. And then 4 months later, Nirvana came out and wiped it out. And that's just the way it goes. But I will say, and this is something I don't think most people ever talk about, with any genre of music, there always is going to be, you know, it happened in the 60s, all the 60s bands, then the 70s came in, all the soft rock bands, and then disco came. And disco had like a 3-year, if that. It was a phenomenon, the biggest thing in the world. I mean, I love disco still to this day. Saturday Night Fever is one of my favorite fucking records. Still love it all. You know, I'll defend it. I still love Dynasty. I still think it's one of Kiss's best records.
It's not a disco record, though. It's got a disco song on it.
Yeah, but it's
the record's not a disco record. Yeah, absolutely.
But for our genre, the 80s hard rock, and I don't think, and you could do your research, and everybody else do your research, there is no other style of music that had a longer shelf life than 80s hard rock. It was from 1980 to 1990, and arguably it was Trixter and Firehouse were the last two bands that really had an impact from that genre, that sold and did, you know, major tours. I don't think there's any other genre that had a 10-year reign. And that just goes to show you why all of the big bands, whether it's Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, of course, the band that never stopped touring afterwards, because, and why in this day and age, those bands and our music is still so popular, because, and I'm almost positive there's no other kind of music. You fast forward, grunge was 4 years.
Yeah, it was kind of a flash in the pan.
We're dead.
Yeah.
the guys died, and then what came after that, like the Matchbox 20s and the Lits and stuff like that. They
Yep.
had a short, even though they had huge hits, and the Lit
Right.
guys, that's one of my favorite bands. But no genre, new metal in the early 2000s,
Yep.
3-4 years, no genre had that kind of impact where for 10 years there were multiple bands that would sell 1 million, 2, 3, 4 million records every time out. And then in the mid 80s, when Slippery When Wet took off and Hysteria took off, was the beginning of bands selling 8 million records, 10 million records.
Yeah.
Then Appetite for Destruction, 20 million records?
Yeah,
So
something like that.
again, there's something. So I don't give a fuck. And again, I've always said it. We were just so honored to be a part of it and be a part of the greatest genre of music, as far as I'm concerned. And I think a lot of your viewers out there will
Yeah.
agree.
Absolutely. And dude, it's funny because Phil Lewis said in an interview with me years ago, he goes, when I brought up kind of the same thing, he goes, Nelson on the Headbangers Ball, we were done. But he was friends with them. He wasn't taking a shot at them, but it was because that was the cookie. And I'm not calling them cookie cutter at all, but you know what I mean? It was because at that time it was like blonde lead singer, ballad, whatever, even though they were more of a pop rock act, but yeah, that on the Headbangers Ball, it kind of makes sense. So let me leave you with this, Steve Areno. Obviously you got to work with Ace on his last record. You knew Ace, and obviously we're both fans. Give us a good Ace story.
Super fans.
Super
Well, here,
fans.
Let me show you some stuff here. So here's here's some of Ace's artwork on some custom guitars we were working on. This is the studio where we recorded half the record. And here's some of the lyric sheets. I think I showed you one of these at Kiss Cancer Goodbye when we were out in Vegas. Here's some of the lyrics. Here's some of the.
Oh wow.
Here's my notes on Constantly Cute. But working with Ace was one of my greatest experiences of my life. Ace was the first rock guitar hero I ever had.
Yeah.
And he became a friend. I met Ace, backstage coincidentally at the Bon Jovi Skid Row show in 1989 at the Meadowlands Arena. Ace came out and did Cold Gin with Skid Row.
Of course he did.
Snake introduced me. Say, hey, Snake, Steve, come over. I want you to meet Ace. And Snake introduced me, and he goes, Ace, this is my buddy Steve. He's in the band Trixter, and Ace, quintessential Ace. Hey, Steve, how you doing? Good to meet you. Good luck with your band, And then I've hung with Ace in the early 90s with Eddie Trunk and stuff, and on the reunion tour. But working on 10,000 Volts was something it was mind-blowing, one of those incredible experiences. And Ace was here, so many times, and it would be like, again, man, we've been around rock stars a lot, but even when they're your friends, like Ed Van Halen was a good friend of mine, and it was so natural to be around him, but there were moments where I'd be just like, holy shit. I remember the first day working up at Ace's house when we were working on Walking on the Moon. And I remember that it was like, because dude, it's like you never know what's going to happen with these guys.
Right.
Where, we're going to work together. It's not until you finally get into the room with them.
Right.
And the enormity of it, it's like the same thing when I played with Def Leppard for the first time. It's like once you're on stage, you go, holy shit, I'm fucking playing Photograph with Def Leppard.
Right.
And as good friends as I was with those guys, it's still a massive head trip. And so the Ace thing was, finally we got to work together. I had sent him a bunch of ideas, Fighting for Life. I sent him the idea for Walking on the Moon, which wasn't Walking on the Moon at the time. It was another title, and Ace came up with all that. And it was like, before we even worked together, Ace had the whole concept for the new record already. He was like, well, you know how he was, man. He was like, when he was on it and when he was creative, he didn't stop. And so, we got working together, and it was just, it was magical. And, but again, it never got lost on me that here I am, whether it was at his studio in Sparta, New Jersey, or here, that like, here I am working with my fucking hero. This is unbelievable. And we're making great music together. We're having so much fun. and that was the coolest thing, which I think, people got, saw when some of the videos that we would post, we would have so much fun. I mean, because, Ace was such a funny guy. The jokes were always flowing. But man, I like getting back to that story, dude, the first day we worked together, I remember sending PJ a fucking picture. And I go, dude, I can't fucking believe it. We're actually doing this. And that was it, man. And we made, a phenomenal record. And sadly, we had so much more planned, but that's not, that wasn't to be. And, I think we all, for me, I miss my friend more than anything.
Of course.
He was my creative partner for a while, and we were working on ideas for what was going to be the follow-up for 10,000 volts. But, I still have a hard time. I think a lot of us have a hard time believing that he's actually really gone.
I'm still numb about it. It's like, obviously I didn't know. I met Ace twice. He has no fucking idea who I am. But people always bring it up. It's like, how can you cry about somebody you never met? And once it happens with that one person, you get it. Yeah. You understand. And it's still weird. It's still, I'm still in awe that Ace Frehley is gone. He wasn't at the Kennedy Center honors. No. He wasn't there. He was excited about being there.
He was so looking forward to that, man. I remember, man, when the press conference, when President Trump, and said the names, and he called me and he's like, Steve, President said my name right. And he was so proud of that, because, dude, the deal, growing up in Paramus, New Jersey, everybody I knew said Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
Ace Frehley. But I learned, especially working on the record, Ace corrected me a couple times. He goes, Steve, make sure you say my name right. It's Frehley, and that's it, Ace Frehley. And he was so happy that President Trump said his name right. And, I was at Ace's wake, and I was there with some of the Kennedy Center guys, and the one guy who was coaching President Trump to make sure he said everybody's name correctly, because the president was very aware, I don't want to mess up anybody's name.
Right.
And he was telling me how he kept telling the president, it's Frehley, Frehley, Frehley. And again, and you could hear when President Trump said Ace Frehley, he was very much, you could tell he was rehearsing that. But Ace was so happy, and man, it was a bummer. And watching the Kennedy Center honors and seeing that tribute, Chris Angel did such a beautiful job, and love you, Chris, for that. And then seeing the guitar smoking, and then that cutaway to Peter and Monique, man, I had tears going down my face. I was standing watching it, and it really hit me. But it was beautiful. It was so sad and beautiful. But, like my daughter Lily said, she said, hey man, legends never die. So Ace is always going to be with us. Thank God we have all this great footage and all the great music that we made. And, for me, it was just, again, it was arguably one of the greatest experiences of my life working with him. And I will forever love, Paul Daniel Ace Frehley. It was just the best.
I think he was. Look, fucking Keith Robert Warren, my guitar player in ACK, said it best. Without Ace, there's no us. And that's I don't think that's the best way to put it. Steve Areno, Steve Brown, why don't you please let us know where we can find you, where we can find the Always Jovi tribute, and where they can find tour dates for you and everything else that you do and your guitars.
Yeah, man. Steve Brown Rocks on Instagram and all the social media sites, whatever you have, X and TikTok, Facebook, Trixter Rocks, and the Trixter Rocks website is all Trixter. We started the 2026 tour. We're heading to Australia for the first time in March, God willing. Can't wait for that. Always Jovi Rocks, and alwaysjovi.com. And we just booked like three shows this week, so announcements are coming. And
nice.
That's it, man. It's SBS Guitars, guitarfetish.com. And, dude, thank you so much. And you've been such a great friend and
likewise
such a great supporter. I love you, brother, and I love what you do. And I miss seeing your beautiful face, and I miss you especially when you're in a beautiful, cheap suit.
I look down. A beautiful designer cheap suit, let me tell you.
That's right.
That's right. Hit up Steve Brown. Hit up the Patreon, patreon.com/real-Izzy-Presley. It's only $5 a month. IzzyPresley.com. Find all my links there. And don't forget, on that behalf of Steve Brown, I'm Izzy Presley. What I lack in talent, I make up for in the cock.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're a little late. So say good night, Gracie.
Good night.
Good night.